Hey Defenders, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to talk AR-15s for a quick moment. Why? Well, we just had a quick question from one of our students in a concealed carry class that we just had a few weeks ago, and it's an individual that then came in and they took some of our handgun courses, and they're like, hey, I want to get into AR-15s, and that's what I wanted to talk about. Where do I start? There's all kinds of brands out there, all kinds of different styles and calibers, and what would work best for you diving into this? Well, here's my thought on this, okay? Every AR-15 has a purpose and a place. You know, if you're a farmer out in Minnesota and you got problems with coyotes, something like a 14.5 or a 16-inch, larger platform like this is going to do a heck of a lot better. Why is that? Because you have longer sight lines that you have to deal with. Maybe you have to protect some of your cattle and animals and pets and family members. And so something that's going to be just a little better ballistically advantageous and have a little bit higher muzzle velocity and get you a little more accuracy over a longer distance is certainly going to be a more appropriate tool for that environment. I like the 14.5 inch. Why? Because it's kind of like this in between. They call it sometimes a general purpose rifle or a recce rifle, meaning reconnaissance. And, for example, on this one, it's simple. I've got a Surefire war comp up here, and some backup iron sights, some rail scales just to get to a good purchase on that C-grip. And then a Viper PST Gen 2, 1-6. And this is certainly not like my big tactical rifle, right? But it's a good enough build for the longer sight lines in Minnesota and for out in the wilderness. But it can still operate in a home environment too. But this is the one I'm going to dive more into right here. This is an AR pistol. And pistol, why? Because we have the brace on the back end of this. And this is a Mark 18 from Daniel Defense. And we like Daniel Defense on our channel, but there's a lot of other good companies that we really like too. We really love Sons of Liberty Gunworks. We really like Cobalt Kinetics. We like Shadow Systems is coming out with a new AR. I'm actually really curious on that one because it's completely made in-house. And I believe they said when we covered it on our channel at SHOT Show that it's going to be out, I think like July, midsummer, like here pretty quick too. So I'd love to get my hands on one of those too. Maybe we can get a full review on that on the channel. But you want to dive into a AR-15, where should I start? Well, first off, there's a lot of AR-15s out there that are in the $600 price range, $800 price range, like sub $1,000. You will get what you pay for. If that's all you can afford, by all means, something is better than nothing. But if you can wait a month or two, jump the next price bracket to get yourself a firearm that will go bang correctly every time you pull the trigger, in addition to it will not have failures internally. I've seen during training environments, people with cheaper lower end ARs have their bolt carrier groups or their gas keys actually break because they weren't staked correctly or the tolerances weren't high enough and the material was cheaper and a softer steel. And so you get cracks in them and the stuff has happened. Or heck, you can even have catastrophic failures. You lose a little bit of that quality control when you jump into those lower price brackets. Okay. So I particularly like this one for home defense, and I'm a big fan of the quad rail guys. Why? The GWAT me comes out. Love quad rails in general. Okay. Now, be a man. C-grip that can. You want to get an AR-15, maybe something like this. Whatever. Where do I start? Well, there's certain pieces and parts that are kind of must purchases that you're going to do first and foremost when you outfit this platform. All right. You get your AR-15, the first thing you're going to want to get for this platform is an optic. And I said it once, I'll say it again multiple times on this channel. You're going to buy once, cry once. Don't go chintzy on the glass. A lot of people like EOTechs. I got a couple good buddies in the industry. They hate EOTechs and they crap on them all day long. You know who you are. I'm watching you. And that's okay. They're still good platforms, good optics. This is an EOTech EXPS-3-2. And aim points, very fantastic. I would even go as far as saying like a Trijicon MRO. Do you need something magnified? No, but the beauty of some of these red dots that are non-magnified is you can get flip magnifiers for them too that work really, really well. But optic, first and foremost, is the first thing that you actually want to get for your AR-15. After that, and this is in order, okay? After that, you're going to get a sling. Slings are incredibly important to actually operating that gun because there's certain things that you need to be able to do in order to carry that rifle against your body and to swing and swim out of that sling and swim back into it in order to then operate in any given environment. This is a Blue Force gear. This is a Vickers custom pad. I have this one padded, and we like these ones specifically because of one specific feature, these pull tabs. Now, this is a 2-point sling, and there's a lot of people out there that first and foremost will say like, oh, I like a 1-point sling. We ditched 1-point slings a long time ago when my first deployment, they issued us a 1-point sling. I ditched that for a 2-point sling immediately. Why? Because when you drop that thing and you go to transition to a sidearm or to go do anything else, even if it's not an emergency, whoop, if you're a guy, that thing is slamming down and hitting you where the sun doesn't shine, and it does not feel good, okay? And it doesn't allow you to maneuver in and out of the sling either. They're very limited in their capabilities. If you want to do one, by all means, I'm just telling you their limitations. I'm sure there's somebody going to get down to the comment sections that's going to argue with me on this. But having operated a AR-15 style platform, M16s, M4s, or specifically for myself, M4s, I can tell you, yeah, we didn't like the single points, okay? 3 points are out the window too. 2-point slings, and we like the Vickers custom like this. Why? This pull tab allows us to shorten or lengthen that AR-15 against our body and allows us to swim in and out of it. We can tighten it up to get longer range shots and lock ourselves down and anchor it, but a lot of different features with this. And we also like QD mounts. Why the QDs? And I'm sure some people are going to give us a little bit of hate in the comment section on this. QD mounts, quick disconnect. That's these little ball bearing button ones, okay? These are fantastic for the sole purpose that if you are injured and you have a rifle on you, well, if you're thrashing around in an injured state, we have to get that rifle off of you fast. And introducing a knife into a situation where somebody is wounded is a bad idea. So you don't just cut a sling off. So if I have QDs and I can just reach down, grab and disconnect that thing, I can get that rifle off of you quickly and then address your injury. We always got to, one thing that always happens, I've seen it and deployed, when I was in EOD. Now, there's other good brands out there too. We got to get that rifle off somebody very, very fast, okay? Big industry leader is the Viking Tactics, the VTAC sling, 2-point sling, also very, very similar. It has a pull tab. This one's just a little bit of 550 shot cord right there. And gravity helps with this one a lot too. You can get them padded also. So my two recommendations, the Viking VTAC and the Vickers Blue Force Gear custom sling is really, really good. All right, so you've got an optic. You've got a sling for your rifle. What's next after that? Next after that, kind of like we talk about with handguns, flashlight. You're going to want to get a flashlight for that platform for positive identification, okay? Yes, a white light on your rifle. That's going to be great for flooding a room if you have that barrel pointed in a safe direction, but first and foremost, it's going to allow you to illuminate in the dark, and so you can see exactly what you're shooting at, because we never want to point the firearm in a direction or at somebody and have our finger on that trigger ready to go. That's why one of our safeties particularly, what do? We're fingers off the trigger until the sights are aligned and the decision to shoot has actually been made. Okay. Now, what other things do I have to support these? Well, with the flashlight, there are little accoutrements that we can get. Certainly, you can run it with just a button, but I use it with a switch pad. This is a Surefire Scout, and as you can see, I have a pad on the top of this, and we do run these 100 Concepts light covers on these specifically because we do stuff with night vision, and when we're doing stuff with night vision, we don't want to give away our positions, and so we have that cover. If you're not doing night vision, you're probably not going to need that a whole lot. But to support it, again, we have pressure pads with that. So when I'm gripping that firearm, I can activate that pressure pad, no problem. Okay. And it's a lot easier. I don't have to move my hand around in any odd positions. My hand's already going to naturally be there in that grip configuration. Okay. Now, what do we do after that? So you've got your light, your optic, your platform, your sling. To support the sling, we can do little QD mounts on it. Sometimes the rails have QD mounts built into them. This is a Maximum Defense brace. It's got a couple QD mounts on the side, and hard to see right on the butt end of it right there as well. But what else are we going to do with this? Well, we've got a handbrake here. This is an emissary handbrake, so it's not a vertical grip because the ATF hates those on AR pistols. And that's just going to allow us to C-grip that gun and pull it into our shoulder, pull it into that good shooting, stable shooting platform. After that, of course, you're going to want your, along with this, you buy your firearm. Of course, you're going to have your magazines and everything. You're going to need your ammunition, and you need to actively go train. Go take a course. It doesn't have to be with us at Aegis Defense Solutions. There's a lot of great courses out there across this country. Go get into a program and go learn how to operate this platform. Okay. We like the Warrior Poet Society guys. We've hosted them before. We love Green Line Tactics, a really good group of guys out there. They're out of Georgia. So, again, lots of Haley Strategic Travels. You got Thunder Ranch, right? Cool options out there. Now, you want to dive in a little bit further? What's going to be the next step after that? Suppressor. Why? It's not the big bad assassin tool people make you think that it's made out to be. A suppressor is there to protect your hearing first and foremost. Okay. Military has gone to suppressors a whole lot because they discovered that you don't have to pay veterans as much money when their hearing is not all jacked up. Okay, that is a whole thing. In addition to, over a longer distance, yes, it helps reduce your report, but also helps reduce that muzzle flash that you're getting out the front of that gun. But also, what it's going to do is help reduce the recoil impulse on that firearm. Now, AR-15s in particular, the 5.56 variants. Not a whole lot of recoil on them. It's not that big a deal. It's going to be even less when you get a suppressor on the end of that thing. And there's a lot of different suppressor technologies out there. I'll link it in the comments. We have a whole kind of series talking about suppressors when you dive into them. So that's a whole nother video for a whole nother lesson. And, I think behind the Patreon wall, we're going to do a whole video and class talking about suppressors. So if you want to dive into that, really pay attention to the channel because we're going to have a lot of stuff coming out on suppressors here soon because the technology for suppressors is getting wild. Really crazy stuff. We got a new suppressor coming in from the same guys that make this one. This is from Canco Silencers out of Georgia. Really good group of guys. Love them. Chase and Neil. Shout out to you guys. And we got their Mini 6s coming in and they're supposed to have some sort of space wizardry engineering on the inside. I don't know what they're doing, but it's supposed to be crazy quiet and have really low back pressure. So really cool stuff. Now, those things are going to get you into operating that gun, getting some courses in and learning how to use it, and are going to get you set up kind of on the right foot. But there's the other end of this that, I want to talk about real fast too, and that's going to be the ammunition. Ammunition type is important. And one of the safeties that we talk about in our classes constantly is kind of the fourth safety, knowing what's in the foreground and background of your target and know the ballistic capabilities of your system. That part in particular is important. If you're in an apartment or a duplex and you have a shared wall, something like an AR-15 might not actually be the best choice for home defense because of those thin walls and those spaces. But if you still really want to do it, you do you, right? I'm just giving you my thoughts on this and my professional opinion. But if you're a farmer or you have land and you want to do an AR-15 home defense, this is a really fantastic platform. I use a AR-15 for home defense. Absolutely. Okay. But the one downside of that is with, anywhere from a 10.5 inch barrel, which is you're breaking 2,400 feet per second, to a 14.5 to a 16 to an 18 inch barrel where you're breaking 3,200 feet per second. That is a screaming round coming at the end of that barrel. And you're going to have a problem with overpenetration. You hit the neighbor's dog, the car alarm is going off down the street, you destroyed the light post, that's a great, 55 grain full metal jacket is screaming out the end of that barrel, 3,200 feet per second. Guess what? That's going to be really good for hitting the intruder on the other side of your neighbor's refrigerator. Overpenetration is a big deal, okay? So there's things that we can do to help tamp that down to make it more effective. And we already talk about it when it comes to home defense or concealed carry using things like defensive ammunition, hollow points. Yeah, certainly we talk about hollow points constantly in our classes. Why? Because they're designed to not leave the threat and hurt an innocent bystander first and foremost, and has the higher likelihood chance of first shot incapacitation rates, which makes it safer, right? We want safety. We're not, when we have to use something defensively, the goal is not to unalive somebody. The purpose is to stop a threat, okay? But with that AR-15, what can we do for that? Well, there's all kinds of different ammunition. Yeah, they actually make hollow points for 5.56, kind of crazy. But they also make things called TUI rounds. I know Maximum Defense produces those and some other companies too, tumble upon impact, where then the weight of the boat tail of that round is towards the rear and they're designed to tumble once they go through a material like drywall or a stud. That way, preventing overpenetration of that round from leaving a home defense situation. Or we have frangible ammunition. I like using frangible frangible ammunition for my home defense needs, and I know some other guys industry-wise that are way better at shooting than I am. So shout out to you, Josh. He likes doing it too, so him and I are big fans of the frangible ammunition. And why? When they hit drywall or a stud, they're designed to disintegrate. It's essentially, they are compressed copper dust into a bullet, and it'll stop a threat, but at the same time, they're designed for shooting environments and training environments in a shoot house, and it's designed to not leave the building. That is the purpose of those, is to make it safer in operating in those kinds of training environments, and they're really good for them for home defense too, because guess what? It hits that wall, and it's going to start fragmenting and disintegrating and arresting the speed of that round and removing its capability of leaving the building. So that's a big thing. So tumble upon impact rounds, frangible ammunition, hollow point, certainly all options that you can do for that rifle. But you know, if you're that farmer out on large tracts of land with that property, or you're a landowner and you have those coyotes, full metal jacket, way to go, right? It's not a problem at that point, because then, yeah, we're going to reach out and stop that coyote from killing our chickens or our get the varmint off the property, to stop hurting our livestock. There's a good place for that, absolutely. And you also want to stock up on some of these ammunition types. One, well, your home defense stuff, certainly, but for training, right? Your training rounds. Ball ammunition, 55 grain. If you're going to a training course, you're out on the range, yeah, buy the cheapest crap, certainly. Buy that 55 grain, just target ammo. Good to go. Winchester, whatever. I don't care what brand. You know, some ammunition types are better than others. Some run a lot dirtier. There is crappy ammo out there. It does exist. I'm not going to go nitty gritty into in this video talking about ammunition types and brands and the amount of grains that we're putting in for the propellant itself. That is certainly a video for a different time, and I want to keep this one kind of short. So anyways, just wanted to talk about all that. Your ammunition type, certainly what you need for an AR. You want to get into AR, so you're going to need your AR. Again, your AR platform in this order: your AR, your optic, your sling. Sling is huge. Don't neglect this. Some people do. Your light for positive identification. Then we can start getting into the additional stuff and start looking at things like suppressors. We can start looking at protective stuff. You know, AR-15s are good at making holes. Then we want to start looking at plugging holes, medical kits, things like that, and start looking at then preventing holes. And then you can start looking at getting into more of the tack gear like body armor and plate carriers and all that stuff. But that's a whole nother ball of wax for a different video. Just wanted to kind of talk my 10 cents talking about AR-15. So a lot of options out there. I don't recommend, again, just to reiterate, I don't recommend the cheaper end stuff. Get something that's going to last a lot longer, that will go through training environments, that won't fail on you, and that have proven track records from reputable companies. Buy once, cry once. If there's a lesson at the end of this video, buy once, cry once. And yes, guys, that means you can go up to your wife and go, no, we need that Daniel Defense. We need that Sons of Liberty Gunworks one. Why? Because Mike said buy once, cry once. No, you're going to tell him why? Because we want something that will last, that will do the job and won't fail on us, and that we can trust our lives to. And that's the reason you're going to give her. And then go deck it out, man. Have fun with it. AR-15s are totally cool. So anyways, just wanted to talk about that. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. God bless and good night.